It is almost time, folks. For the last couple of seasons, the Detroit Lions have been talking about new uniforms that could potentially be coming soon. And for the Lions, they just gave a massive hint and clue as to what we can possibly expect. And we're going to talk about in today's episode, folks, so stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are? And what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello all Lions fans, and welcome back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving in. So, here's the thing, folks. I know it's been a couple of days since I've released anything. The reason why is because I was on leave. I had gone to Michigan to spend some time with my family, so I was trying to spend more time with them, tried to take a little bit of a break from the show. So I do apologize as to why there hasn't really been a whole lot of content lately for at least the last couple of days, or that why some of that content maybe didn't necessarily fit with the current events as to what was going on. I had pre-recorded some stuff, made sure I was at least pushing out some content while I was away. Some of it worked, some of it didn't, but I'm now officially back, so that way I can start putting content out there that's a little bit more fit to what is going on with the current events of the day for the Detroit Lions. So, having said that, we're talking about uniforms here. We're talking about the Lions getting new uniforms. And we have to understand something here. For Lions fans, the whole thing about getting new uniforms has been a pretty big idea for Lions fans because we know that there has definitely been chatter, there's definitely been rumors, there's definitely been news that the Lions were going to be getting new uniforms. We knew about it potentially happening last year, but what we found out is that the Lions were gonna hold off on it. We heard from President Rod Wood that the Lions were working on getting new uniforms. They were going to start unveiling them, but they were going to hold off for yet one more year. And what the Lions instead did is they added an alternate new helmet, which then became the helmet that we saw twice last year, where it was the full blue helmet. It had the old 1960s, 1970s look that the Lions had for, way back in the day. And that was a pretty cool idea. That was a pretty cool design that the Lions brought out. For some people, they loved the helmet like I did. But what they didn't necessarily like was the fact that that helmet had to be paired with the all-gray uniforms because the color concept just didn't really match. A lot of people expressed, including myself, that, hey, that helmet would look really great if it was with like an all-blue or an all-white or maybe some sort of a mixture of other colors, but the gray just didn't seem to work that well. But whatever. That's then, this is now. What we've officially found out is that I believe it was either yesterday or the day before yesterday. I can't remember because all my days are starting to run together. But Rod Wood specifically said that the Lions do have new uniforms. He confirmed that the Lions do have new uniforms. They are going to be dropping. Now, when did he say they're going to be dropping? He said that the Lions are going to unveil their new uniforms shortly before the draft, which, well, let's think about it. It kind of makes sense because it's like, hey, the Lions are going to be hosting the draft this year, so it's like, hey, you're going to not only host the draft in Detroit, but now you're going to be unveiling new uniforms to kind of like, okay, here's new look Lions, here's the Detroit Lions draft, their extravaganza, their take on the draft, so it's like, okay, the Lions are trying to make sure that all the spotlight, all the news, all the attention is on them, and it's like, hey, it's kind of a smart tactic, but it's also really crucial for us Lions fans because, like I said, we've been kind of waiting on this news. We've been wondering what the Lions were going to do because when it comes to the whole uniforms, when it comes to the whole jersey concept, question, and conundrum, there's definitely some people that have some ideas as to what the Lions should do. Again, if you go on Facebook, if you go on Twitter, you've definitely seen people who have done some, custom ideas as far as, hey, maybe the Lions could do an all-white helmet sort of routine, or maybe they could do this or that. There's definitely been stuff like that, and I will admit, looking at concepts like that, looking at different designs like that, some of them I think are really, really cool. I also know that for some Lions fans, what they particularly want to see is a redesign of the Lions helmet logo. They're not necessarily as big of fans about it. They're okay with the current one, but they want to see something that's a little bit more spiced up, something that has a little bit more of an edge to it. I know I've talked to a lot of Lions fans that would like to see a redesign of the Lions' current logo. But I will say this, when it comes to the whole concept as far as the uniforms are concerned, the one thing that Rod Wood did say that definitely perked up a lot of Lions fans' ears is this. And I'm going to read the exact quote from the article that I have it from. This is what Rod Wood said. He said and he's talking about the Lions and the whole process, that the Lions went through creating the new jerseys with Nike. And that was a process that specifically, I believe he said, was with Mike Disner. And who was the other dude? Oh yeah, Brian Ficini. I hopefully pronounced that correctly. But he's talking about this, and he says, they're honoring our traditional color with a little updating and twist, and it gives us a lot more options too. We're going to introduce a couple of different pant options that can go with jerseys. So it will give us different options to wear during the season. So, when you start talking about that, okay, traditional color. I know that for myself personally, the one uniform that a lot of Lions fans particularly enjoyed was the uniform color concept, the color design that they had in the 1990s during the Barry Sanders era. That uniform color, that design, was something that a lot of Lions fans liked. It was something that they really enjoyed. So maybe they're talking about that. Maybe they're talking about bringing that kind of a concept, that little traditional twist back a bit. The other concept that I know some people are talking about when they're hearing that traditional stuff is they're thinking maybe the Lions could be bringing back some sort of a black uniform concept. I know when it comes to black uniforms, I know this for a fact. Black is a sexy color, especially when it comes to football. Black uniforms are hella looking good. And for the Lions, they had a black uniform concept at the very tail end of the Matt Millen era. And for some Lions fans, they loved that uniform because of how it looked. But a lot of Lions fans do not like that uniform because of what it represents. And they're talking about the fact that it's at the Matt Millen era. It's when the Lions were not that good. And what they're talking about is they don't want to bring back that uniform color, that uniform design concept because of what it represents for the time. And it's like, listen, I understand that has an association with Matt Millen. It has an association with the 0-16 season. I get it. I understand it. But at the same time here, if the Lions decide to bring back a black color concept, which let's understand something here, I fully expect that they will. Because it's like, okay, you have an all blue uniform. You have an all white uniform. You have an all gray uniform. Why the thunder would you not have a black jersey in there somewhere? Because again, like Rod Wood said, they're going to have it to where they can do a lot more options as far as mix matching pants and jersey colors, so that way they can get more options as far as color concepts and uniform mixing matches. So for me, it's like, okay, if I'm taking what Rod Wood is saying, it's supposed to be a much more of a traditional style uniform, but it's also supposed to have the ability to have more twists, a little bit more of an option base, so that way it's like, hey, we can get the best possible uniform mix and match as we possibly can. Now, I will say this. Some people are also wondering if the uniform concept is one that the players are going to like. Because I'm going to say this right now. The Lions have typically been regarded as a team that usually has some pretty good-looking uniforms. We've always been called one of the better uniform clubs in the NFL because, hey, the Honolulu blue is considered a very iconic color. The way we've typically done our uniform concepts are usually considered one of the better ones in the league. And I'm going to say this, compared to some teams, it's definitely true. Like, if I was a part of the Washington Commanders, I would hate my uniform because it is a very bland, very, very just dull uniform. And there's a couple of other teams that I can think of where it's like the uniform just doesn't really do anything as far as inspiring imagination or make me feeling good about playing for the team. But the Lions are one of the opposite ones. It's like, hey, they've done usually a pretty good job with how they do their uniforms. So for me, it's like, okay, if the players, according to Rod Wood, they've shown them what these uniforms are going to look like, and the ones that really, really care about the uniforms have already said they love the uniforms. So it's like, okay, I'm really curious as to what these uniforms are going to look like. I'm really curious as to see, okay, what exactly has Mike Disner and Rod Wood been cooking up for the last year? Because it's like, okay, this is something that a lot of Lions fans want to know. This is something that a lot of Lions fans want to see, because it's like, uniforms are a big part of the game, and if it's a really good-looking uniform, I guarantee you this, Lions are going to have a massive buyout when it comes to the new uniforms being dropped. But again, like I said, we don't know exactly what the uniforms are going to look like, but like I said, Rod Wood dropped a massive hint. He dropped a massive clue as to what we can potentially expect, and that we don't have to wait very long before we're potentially going to see what these new uniforms look like. It's going to be about maybe another month, and then it's going to be like, okay, here they are. So I'm really, really curious as to see what the Lions are going to pull out when it's like, hey, here's the new uniforms. Dig them, don't dig them. But for me, I'm just curious all the same, and I know a lot of Lions fans are curious. But anyway, just wanted to make this quick episode. I knew it was big news yesterday, but it came out like really, really late in the day. A lot of people really didn't talk about it per se, so I figured I'd make my little, talk about it. And with that, I'm going to end the episode and say thank you all for watching another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. Also encourage you all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past, forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and not had a chance to do so, again, please subscribe. It helps out the channel, and I'm thankful all the same. But I also encourage y'all, please, if you subscribe, to make sure you also turn on that bell notification icon that goes at the bottom with it, so that way you never miss any more content that I push out. Again, subscription numbers always going up, but we want to make sure you guys turn on that bell notification icon as well, so that way you never miss any more content. Also encourage y'all, please, to share this content with your Lions friends and family members. The more we share it, the greater the channel spreads, the greater the channel grows. And again, that is just as good for me as getting subscriptions. And I'm thankful for both all the same. And with that being said, I hope y'all are having a great day. I hope y'all have something that makes you smile. I hope y'all have something that makes you happy. And with that, God bless. And until the next time we meet, I'll see y'all in the next episode.